whoa, 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 yeah, we are in the place to be, yeah, 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 yeah.
Hi-ho, Cheapy Mythos here, and welcome to the Little Old People Podcast. I'm here with my co-old person, Mark.
A.K.A. the little black dude.
If this is your first time listening, we're two oldish nerds looking at random fandoms from varying directions. I'm a historian and archaeologist by degree and a former wage slave by trade. Mark is a jeweler, YouTuber, and fellow fan enthusiast. Today, we decided to do a movie review. Our last review was fun, but it was a slog. This time, we thought we'd do a stupid fun review. Now, Mark hadn't seen it before this review, but I saw this bad boy.
And we do mean bad.
When it was still in theaters. And then I unironically spent money on the DVD and then watched that a few dozen times. So I'm going to be upfront here. The chances of my giving this film a fair shake are slim at best. Why? Because this movie is so damn cool. Yes, the plot could be held up to a light to make a window. It is so thin. The characters are one-dimensional at best. They might as well be cardboard cutouts on popsicle sticks going rawr on the screen. And the dialogue is cringy. Do I care? Hell no. I've seen this movie a dozen times at least, and I still love it. The action is gratuitous, the blood is all CGI, and there are swords, and ninja!
After watching this movie, I can say it was both stupid and fun, but I have several bones to pick with it as far as the ninja in the film. But I will set that aside for the sake of the review, lest it be 3 hours long instead.
So, let's review 2009's Ninja Assassin, shall we?
Absolutely.
So, the credits open with what can only be described as rock and roll gunslinger music, which kind of sets the tone for the first 5 minutes of this film. It switches to what sounds like DMX, and then we meet a room full of dead people. Granted, they aren't dead right this second, and one of them is actually getting a traditional, tapping tattoo. But let's be real, this is a room full of corpses.
Absolutely.
So, the douchebag getting the tattoo gets a letter and one of his henchmen opens it, and it's full of black sand. And the old tattoo artist that's working on him tells them that ninja are coming. They don't believe him, and then the CGI blood starts flying. A ninja literally appears out of the shadows on the floor, and God, I love this stupid movie. It had been like a year since I watched it, and I saw that scene, and I was just like, oh my God, I forgot about that. I love this movie.
It is so good to see you excited.
It's so stupid, but I love this film. So the title appears on the screen in a splash of CGI blood, and then we jump to Berlin a week later, where we meet Mika Coretti, who is being played by the lovely Naomi Harris, who is a researcher at Europol, which is the European branch of Interpol, I guess, which is international, which I don't understand why they would be two separate things, but whatever. And somehow she has managed...
That's why.
Well, yeah, because the plot says so, yeah. And somehow she's managed to find a trail in her research for a group of ninjas called the Ozunu clan. And we also learned that the market value of 100 pounds of gold, which apparently is the value of one human life, is $1,555,999.90. Okay, well, that's good to know, I guess. But they're real specific.
That's the only reaction for that, yeah.
Yeah, they're real specific with the amount. I even wrote it down, and I was like, that is just oddly specific. Why even 90 cents? If they give him 10 cents more, do you get a refund on it? I don't know. So anyway, her boss/partner, question mark, I don't know. Their relationship is very undefined. Ryan Maslow, who was played by Ben Miles, is skeptical but curious. And then we smash cut to a sort of hottish Asian man who's doing his laundry. And then he gets into a fight with a pretty lady.
As you do between drying cycles.
And then the next we see of her is blood in a washing machine.
This is emblematic of my one problem with this movie. Gratuitous blood is not entertaining to me. However, I enjoy the choreography of the action scenes. Describing them as over the top, though, is generous.
Yes, it is. I will agree with that. So Mika and Ryan go to lunch, and he brings a KGB report with him to show her about a group called the Nine Clans. And no, I'm not skipping. This movie was edited by a rodent with a very short attention span.
That's true. Jump cuts abound in this movie. I mean, there's nothing wrong with in medias res, but when it's done randomly, it breaks the flow of the story.
So then Ryan makes a sexually harassing comment, and Mika doesn't instantly punch him in the face, which is a surprise given the way we're presented with her character. She just rolls her eyes. So anyway, we jump back to the Asian dude, who is just now getting home, Not with his laundry, interestingly enough, so this is a different day. And we find out that his name is Raizo, and he's being played by the K-pop star B, who's also known as Rain. So he checks his apartment to make sure his weapon stashes are safe, and then we get flashbacks to his childhood, where we learn that he was raised by an abusive dickhead who kidnaps children from around the world to train as ninja, regardless of race or gender. It's nice to know they're equal opportunity kidnappers.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get a gratuitous workout scene of Raizo in his underwear. For the ladies.
Who seriously only came for that scene. Kind of like when I went to see 300, took a girl with me. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And she was drooling as she saw Gerard Butler coming out.
Now, are probably the only girls on planet Earth that went to go see 300 for the action scenes.
I can agree with that.
Anyway, so then we get him working out. It's intercut with more flashbacks of his training as a child. And we meet his childhood friend and sweetheart, Kiriko.
During the flashback, there is a point where the Ozunu master uses what is called the Kuji-in, which is the 9 positions from the ninjutsu world, to heal a wound. On the one hand, techniques like hand positions have helped in controlling heart rate and concentration. There were actually a number of studies done by colleges in Japan as well as in America that showed that it does help to calm a person down. It does allow them to be able to improve their concentration. But on the other side of the whole thing, it is complete fiction that it can heal wounds. And that's something that jumped out at me. I was like, okay, this is the direction we're going. But I can seriously imagine several 20-somethings with nothing better to do trying this and then going to the ER.
Well, then they deserved it. That is their Darwin Award.
They were weak and should have been eliminated from the bloodline here.
So then we go back to Mika, who has an interview with the wife of the man who wrote the KGB report. Then it's smash cut back to Raizo to watch him practice fight shirtless in his apartment with swords and chain scythes for the ladies.
Did anyone else feel like they were watching the demo mode from Soul Calibur watching that? I mean, I get that it's supposed to be all whooshy with the cutting and the ninja stars and the Kusarigama, I think. The weapon that he was carrying was so futuristic, quote-unquote, big giant air quotes, I couldn't pin down what it actually was. But we could have saved those special effects dollars for other stuff. Like, I don't know, making the blood look more realistic, because holy crap, you can tell that mess is CG.
Now, I have to say this. I was following Rain online when this movie went into production. I'd heard a few of his songs, and I heard he was making a movie, so I started, following him. And I have to tell you, he got cut for this movie. He was working out like crazy. I don't know if he just went to a straight chicken diet or what, but he got cut for this movie. So any excuse they had to show him off, I wasn't complaining. I'm literally not mad. So then we jump to another flashback, but he's a teenager now, Raizo, and he's learning to overcome pain, which is rather sadistic the way that it's shown, and a little disturbing. So then we jump back to Mika, who is now being hounded by an internal affairs agent who comes into her office and skulks around a bit, and he talks to her. He sounds like he thinks he's in a serious Cold War spy thriller and not a cheeseball ninja film.
Is anybody else getting whiplash from all the cutting back and forth? Because my neck hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, then again, another jump cut, this time back to Ryan, where he tells Mika to be careful, and then she goes home without telling him about the information that she's been reading through for the last few days that she received from the KGB agent's wife.
That scene actually was a lot of fun to watch. I'm not even going to lie to you. Whoever it was that they got to play his wife, she was excellent for that scene. I was very happy about that.
Yes, she was. She was very believable, and even though we only saw her for a few minutes and we never see her again, she just completely disappears from the film. I will say that was some of the best mood acting in the film. I will say that.
100% with that, yes.
So then another jump cut back to Raizo this time, where he's on the street, and every sound in the street is aggravating his PTSD. And then he starts thinking about Kiriko again. Now, we do get a sweet scene between him and Kiriko, where she tells him that he's not heartless, and, basically, do your best while we're in this hellhole to keep your humanity. And she is banging on that I'm about to die gong really hard.
Mm-hmm. Any love interest in any action movie might as well just wear a bullseye. They're gonna die!
Exactly. So then we get some menacing weapon sharpening, more training flashbacks, and other kinds of flashbacks. And we learn that you get one blanket when you arrive at the school, and no matter how big you get, that's the blanket you have. So, if you arrive as a toddler, you're screwed. And if you do anything wrong, you get put in the fun box without any food or water. Fun box, oh fun box. It's small and square and dark. Fun box.
Oh.
Oh, fun box. Check out these cool fun logs. Yeah. So Kiriko got put in the fun box after she tried to run away, and she gets caught and is subsequently killed by Takeshi, who's being played by Ricky Yoon.
Takeshi is the asshole rival every story like this has to have. A rive asshole, if you will.
So then we jump back to Raizo. A little kid runs past him and slips him a picture of Mika with her address on the back. Now, this was a really geeky moment for me. I had just come back from Berlin the summer that this movie came out, and that city was still very fresh in my mind. We'd spent over a month there. Now, her address is in Alexanderplatz, which used to be in East Berlin. And when you're looking at pictures of Berlin, you'll always see this giant radio tower. That radio tower is Alexanderplatz. And well, that tells me that Mika doesn't make a lot of money with her job, since it's cheaper to live on that side of the city. We even stayed in East Berlin when we were in the city for that reason.
East Side?
Represent.
I'm from Jersey. What do you want?
So Ryan gives Mika a gun and tells her to take a long holiday. And when she goes home to pack, all of her neighbors are milling about in the street because the power is out on their block. My question is, can nobody candle anymore? Or flashlight? Seriously?
Stop trying to plug the plot holes. The movie will not be able to keep going without them. Come on now. Besides, the sheer fact that she lives in Berlin and everyone speaks decent English with no accent is hard enough for me to accept.
He said, calling out the one true thing in the movie, maybe second true thing in the movie. Literally, we did not encounter anybody that did not speak almost perfect English the entire time we were in Berlin until we went into the countryside. You're in the city.
That was, yeah.
Everybody speaks English. They can see you're American and they will speak English to you. You want to practice your German, you're screwed.
Amusing side note, when I went to Spain when I was a teenager, we were there as part of the other, the Spanish club and all that kind of stuff. So the whole point was to go and speak Spanish. I and maybe like 3 or 4 of the other people that were on the trip actually made the effort. And the folks that were in some of the places we went, like San Pedro, which I absolutely loved. We had gone to this little mountain town called Mijas. It was really nice. Madrid was very nice. Every place I went, I was always, trying to speak Spanish. And they could tell anybody that spoke English as well would speak back to me. They would help me out with different things. It was cool. Everybody else was like, oh, these Spaniards are so rude. I can't understand. I'm like, did you try speaking their language? Did you understand?
And we had exactly the opposite experience. Literally everywhere we went, we tried to talk to them in German, and they would immediately go, oh, Americans, and switch to English. And we're like, no. Excuse me, nine. So, yeah, it was, yeah. So Mika gets worried because all the power's out, and she was told by the KGB officer's widow not to allow any shadows to fall. But she goes into her apartment anyway, which is like one of the stupid...
All her stuff is there. It's like the Tick.
Yeah, but it was one of the few stupid things she did in the movie that actually irritated me. She was actually pretty smart, all things considered, for a girl in an action film. And this is one of the few stupid things that she did, and it really irritated me. And, Kel Surprise, as soon as she gets into her apartment, she's ambushed by ninjas. But Raizo appears and saves her life. Now, she does use the gun that she has to try shooting them, and she does try to keep her flashlight on them. So, I mean, I can't completely be angry once she gets inside the apartment, but I still would have been like, you know what, nah, I got money, I'll just buy new clothes. It's not that big a deal. So she and Raizo talk for about 30 seconds, and then they're on the run, and while they're driving, Raizo has another flashback to Kiriko about her capture and her murder.
As many flashbacks as he has, I'm surprised he's not dressed like a hippie. Far out, man.
Okay, drug trips and flashbacks are not the same thing.
Well, acid flashback is the statement, so
yeah, that's
just running with what I know.
So as they're driving along, Mika, who is becoming a nervous exposition bucket, asks Raizo more questions and tells him more things about himself that he technically already knows. And Raizo starts remembering his graduation murder, if you will, that ultimately led to him being kicked out of the ninja clan as they thought he was dead. After he committed the murder that was supposed to, help him become a real ninja, he half blinded the old man who was the head of the clan, Ozuno, who's played by the great martial artist Sho Kosugi. And then Raizo refuses to kill another young woman that attempted to run away, so the ninjas turn on him and throw him off a building.
Banzai!
Now, Mika and Raizo do have a cute moment over a pair of jeans where she lies about her size, and he doesn't believe her but buys the wrong size anyway because, okay, but it was cute. And then we jump back to Europol and Ryan. Mika calls Ryan to arrange a meeting, and Ryan fucks it up by deciding that he's going to try to capture Raizo. He does give Mika Chekhov's tracking device, and, she takes Rizzo some water, mirroring his visit with Kiriko, and then we finally get to the first really good action set piece in the film.
This was visually good. Holy crap, it was visually good. However, I cannot allow the blatant ridiculousness of this scene to go unpunished. No one slower than Barry Allen or Pietro Maximoff is dodging that much gunfire and that many shuriken. Rizzo should have been cut to ribbons by the end of this scene. I don't give a crap about narrative. He should have been the corpsiest corpse that ever corpsed right here.
But it's such a good fight scene. Yeah, it goes on for 3 minutes, but it's such a great scene.
I don't deny that. It was fun to watch, but he should have been dead 6 ways to Sunday. Seriously.
I don't disagree. What's to tell? Okay, I have to tell you, when I first saw this movie, nobody was in the theater. I went on a school night, but there was literally nobody there, so I had the theater to myself. There's just something about the experience of being able to watch this movie, and maybe that's what cemented it as being so fun in my mind, where I could literally be in the theater jumping around and squealing and going, "Oh!" at the screen while I'm watching it. And I remember just being so super excited and bouncing up and down in my seat and running up and down the aisles while I was watching this.
I had that same experience with Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Not as fun as this. Definitely not as fun as this. I had fun. Not as fun as this movie, no.
Rizzo does the lion's share of the fighting in this scene, but Mika does get attacked, and she reacts the way I think normal people would, which is she's in her car when the attack comes. She doesn't try to jump out of the car and fight the ninjas. She just slams it into drive and tries to get the hell out of Dodge.
Someone should make a music video for Ludacris's song Roll Out using this scene. Perhaps that's a future project for me. Go and check me out on At Home with a Geek on YouTube. Shameless plug!
New videos almost every week.
Well, this past week it's been new videos almost every day, so I'm real proud of myself.
All right, so then there was another geek out moment for me as the action moves from an underground garage out into the street, because I remember that street. We were there. Well, there's monuments all along the street. There's one in the middle, and then if you walk all the way up the street, there's the Brandenburg Gate. And I remember the day that we went, there was some kind of beer festival or whatever going on. So we were there in that traffic circle, stopping at beer tents, looking at the parks and the statues. And I remember it was great. So that was another, geeky moment for me, freaking out, going, wait, I've been there. I know where that is. So they really did film this in Berlin, in case anybody was, even though Rizzo isn't dead, he does have a really horrible injury in his gut. And there's this really gratuitously disgusting scene, which actually made me go, ugh, where he pulls a shuriken out of his stomach.
Yeah, that was really not
gross.
fun.
That was really, really gross.
Very.
And Mika wants to take him to the hospital, but he tells her no, and just to drive into the countryside. And then he starts using, his ninja mind over matter to heal himself. At the hotel, she activates the tracker. And I can't help thinking, as I'm watching the scene, that she could have at least cleaned the blood off of him before she put him in the clean hotel bed.
That wasn't as important as the ninja getting him and taking him to their lair. Hygiene. Who needs it?
She showered. So she leaves the hotel room for a minute. The ninjas come and take Rizzo away. She calls the police, but they arrive too late. And Rizzo gets to fly back to Japan in a Hannibal Lecter crate, ninja healing himself on the way.
And again, using the Kujin in this manner is misleading and dumb. It makes for a visually interesting scene, though. I will give it that, but it grates on my nerves as a martial artist because there's Naruto fanboys somewhere climaxing watching this scene. It drives me nuts. Exactly.
Yeah, it's gratuitous and stupid. I will give it that.
Mm-hmm.
So once he gets to Japan and dragged up into the mountains where the Ozuno compound is, he gets dragged before Master Ozuno, who then tries gaslighting Rizzo, talking to him in this low, quiet voice that just makes your skin crawl about how much pride he had in Rizzo and how he provided for him and how disappointed he is in what Rizzo has become now. And it doesn't work. Rizzo's like, no, I'm not falling for your shit, old man. And then Ozuno gets angry, as all abusers do, when their methods fail.
Amusingly enough, the more I think about this, I realize who it was that he reminded me of. He reminds me of a very refined version of Tatsu from the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, Tatsu was 100% just, the evil, mean henchman that you could tell wasn't in charge of everything, but he had control of a lot of things, but he was very rough. Ozuno, he is so much more refined, which makes him that much scarier to me as a character.
Yes, you knew he was dangerous, but you could see that he was reining it all in, and that makes him scary. So he orders, Raizo to get taken away, and then gets tied shirtless to a pole and splashed in the face with a bucket of water for the ladies.
Obligatory 18th century Southern Belle fainting spell.
I had to compare it to the scene where Kiriko was in the same position, and they didn't splash her with water. No,
Nope.
And they didn't have her tied
100% for the ladies.
Oh, yeah. So Uzuno comes out and makes a speech about honor, and then reopens all of the wounds that Raizo has spent the last, 6-8 hours closing up. And Raizo spits out the tracker. And then we get to the best fights in the movie, hands down. Do not argue with me. We get Takeshi versus Raizo versus Uzuno, Europol versus Ninja, Raizo versus more ninjas!
I want to hate this scene. I really want to hate this scene, but it rocks entirely too hard for me to hate it. Carry on, movie, carry on.
So good. So it's all action and flashy, but like Europol SWAT busts in.
Like there's a first-person shooter game being streamed somewhere.
And, and Mika's there, and Ryan's there, and Mika runs out of the truck and frees Raizo from his bonds, and then the SWAT team starts blowing up the school, and there's fires and guns and things and excitement.
Also blood, body parts, and more blood.
It's all CGI, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, Takeshi versus Raizo fight, 9 out of 10, would watch again.
Mm-hmm.
The Raizo versus Ozuno fight, 11 out of 10. Best fight
Agreed.
in the whole damn movie.
Absolutely.
For the first half of the fight, Ozuno is kicking Raizo's ass with a sheathed sword.
That dude knows his way around a blade.
Oh, he is playing with this young. He is indulging him, and he's not even saying anything. And that alone is more taunting and better taunting than any cheap one-liner.
If this fight scene had been the whole movie, I would have had no complaints. The way this fight is done made me excited. I didn't want it to end, to be honest.
Yes, it's so good. Finally, Ozuno starts getting serious and unsheathes the sword. And again, you can see, I've only taken Kendo for a couple of years, so I am no expert. I bow to others on that point. But there's so much grace and control as he unsheaths his sword, and it's poetry in motion, and it's beautiful to watch.
I've been handling a blade since I was 17 years old. Oh, I loved every minute of this scene.
Yes.
Holy crap,
so
man.
Good. and we get this awesome tableau of the two of them just poised. Their shadows from the fire. There's fire in the room, just burning the room. And it pulls out, and we get the two of them backlit on these shoji doors, and it's just awesome. And then there's this Kill Bill-esque blood splatter on the screen doors, on those doors. And then Ozuno starts gaslighting Raizo. The doors collapse, and then we see the fire in the room, and the two of them are standing there, getting ready to start the fight. And I love this scene so much. It's like every time I see it, just the fire and it's so great. I love this movie. It's so great. I love this movie.
Oh, I love it.
I can't. I don't remember my words, but I love this movie.
Again, I love seeing you so excited.
It's so stupid. But seriously, Raizo gets his ass handed to him in chunks. Yeah, in chunks. It's just so bad. He literally needs a Deus Ex Machina to win this fight, which he gets when Mika runs in and puts 2 center mass on Ozuno. And Ozuno gets annoyed.
You heard that right, folks. Getting shot annoyed this man.
And he just disappears for a second. And the next time we see him, he is behind Mika, and he stabs her in the heart, which then gives Raizo enough of a rage boner to finally win the fight.
But I told her about that damn bullseye. Or, wait, was it Kiriko I told about the bullseye? Love interests in this movie are just so interchangeable, and they all need to watch out. Bullseye!
But it's such a great scene, and the fire's still going. And then Raizo picks up Mika and carries her out of the burning building, and behind them the sun is rising. And I'm sitting there, and I remember the first time I watched this, and I'm like, oh great, here comes the cheesy forced romantic ending. But no, Raizo carries Mika outside, and he puts her down, and Ryan comes running over, and surprise, surprise, Mika isn't dead, which, it's only shocking if you're 5 years old and have never seen a movie before.
That's true.
So apparently her heart is on her right side of her body, which is a real thing that some people are born with. It's called situs inversus. So she's okay. she's not dead. I mean, her lungs should be full of blood, but, she's movie okay.
Plot armor. Gotta love that. See,
Yeah.
this whole thing was telegraphed the entire movie, though. Her heart is special, massive air quotes once again, and the old tattoo artist only surviving because he had the same disorder, the exact same disorder. It was so obvious my stomach almost changed positions.
Yeah, you might want to go to the doctor, see if it's still sitting on the correct side of your body.
Yeah.
So, Rizzo then turns and stoically walks away, and I'm mad because I wanted them to kiss. And then it smash cuts. So later on, and the school is smoldering and everybody's gone, and Rizzo's standing in the garden, and he cuts free the strings that are holding down a bonsai tree, and then he symbolically climbs up the wall that Kiriko did, and looks out over a valley and a river between some mountains, closes his eyes, takes a breath and smirks, and then the movie ends. I love this movie, but you owe me a kiss movie! You owe me! You owe me! And we also owe the Wachowski for this production. For producing this fun, hot, steaming pile of mess. The actors in this movie are better than this movie. And I don't even care. Randall Duke Kim gets killed in the first 10 minutes. He's the old tattoo artist.
Yes.
Sho Kosugi has had a long-time film career and is trained in about every martial art on planet Earth. Rain has a lucrative music career. These people should not be in this movie, but I'm so glad they are. It's my fun mess. I even started writing a fanfic while I was at school to try to get Mika Rizzo back together, and I didn't finish it, because college got in the way. But have I mentioned how much I love this movie? It's so stupid. I love this movie. I mean, it's not even long. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. Just go watch it. It's a hot mess. It's such a fun hot mess.
Yes, it was. When I was a young black belt, my master instructor told me she hated martial arts movies. Back then, I didn't get it because those were the movies that made me want to learn karate in the first place. I was part of the generation that, found inspiration from the underdog learning a special technique and employing it at the last possible second to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Yeah, I was a kid born in the 80s. That's pretty much the deal. But this movie really helped me understand why my master hated these kinds of movies. But at the same time, the fight scenes rock out loud and don't let you look away. I'll give those a pass any day of the week. They were a lot of fun to watch. And that's really important for any movie. It has to be enjoyable. That's the whole point of movies. They're supposed to be enjoyable. Now, ninja in real life versus ninja in media are like night and day. Gaijin Goomba actually does a whole series about it called Witch Ninja, and I fucking love it. He talks about it all the time because he lived in Iga province, which was one of the major places ninja styles were. He lived probably about 15 miles. There was a museum to the Iga ninja clan. And he was there like 7-8 times during the course of the time he was there. Now, oh my God, yes. Now,
the handsomest man in Japan.
Oh, I love it.
Sorry, you were saying.
Real ninja infiltrated, gathered information, and only fought when it was necessary to escape. They opted for stealth and quick striking to dispatch an opponent and disappear. Movies like this erect a giant statue of a middle finger to all of that and make the fight scenes gratuitous and bloody and long and loud. All things that are antithetical to ninjutsu. But that being said, Ninja Assassin has got to be the best pile of crap I've ever seen. Like, it is gold-plated shit. Plain and simple. I watched every minute of it and just could not put it down, essentially. It is amazing how bad this movie is, and I could not salute it enough. Respect, movie. Respect. Holy crap, this movie sucks, but I love it.
And I know it didn't do well at the box office. It didn't make its money back. I don't know how it did on DVD sales. I don't care. I love this movie.
I remember seeing commercials for this, and I was like, no. Just no. I wish I had seen it in the theater now, but it was so much fun. Now, just as a side note here, the version that I got when I was watching through this was in Spanish.
Sorry, dude.
And because I understand Spanish, it was just that much more of an amusing thing for me. It is just as ridiculous in a foreign language as it is in English. I love every minute of that. You would figure after something is translated, that it would sound less silly. Holy crap, does that not happen in this movie? It works so well though. I really do enjoy this movie. As for me, because I'm cynical as hell when it comes to movies now, because I
Sure.
grew up, like I said, in the 80s, back
Mhm.
when, movie making was a huge thing. It was a completely different animal from what
Yeah.
it is now. So movies like this were rare back then. Now
Oh
we
gosh,
get
yeah. You
these,
could not have made this movie in the 80s.
Oh, absolutely not. It would never have freaking happened. But when you take it to the extreme that this movie did, it makes it worth it. Because if you're going to make something bad, you better make the most stylish bad movie on the face of the earth. And
Yes,
I
and it's
guarantee say this was it.
yeah, it's fun bad. Like I know it's bad. I could pick apart all the plot holes, and it doesn't matter. The characters are one-dimensional and stupid. Like I said at the beginning of the film, they could have been, cardboard cutouts on sticks, and it would have been the same movie. It's just, I love it so much. It's so stupid.
It's hard to do that though. That's the thing that really makes this whole thing amazing. Because to make a bad movie is easy enough,
Yes.
but to make a good bad movie, that takes effort.
Yeah, and to make a good bad movie that somebody's going to watch again and again and again. Like I said, I didn't even think I'd be able to do my write-up the first time I watched it. I was prepared to watch it twice because I needed to watch it once and get it out of my system and then go back and watch it again. I miraculously got through it in one go. It still took twice as long as it should.
But again, you need movies like that. You absolutely need movies like that throughout the time, especially if you spend a lot of time going to see movies. Okay.
Mhm.
When you do reviews and things of that nature, you spend a lot of time watching movies. So you need something to break some of the tension, especially when your first thought is, I need to pay as much attention as I can to see where the strengths and weaknesses of this movie are.
Yeah.
This movie has nothing but weaknesses, and I love
Yeah.
every minute of it. Because the things that it's good at stand out so much better because
Yes.
everything else friggin' sucks. So you can
Yes.
just sit back and be like, okay, fine, I'm just going to let this movie just go ahead and movie.
Yeah, it's definitely pop your brain out, leave it on the table by the door. When it's over, pop it back in. You'll have the same experience. It's fine.
Yes.
Do not think about this movie. Just sit down and watch it.
Mhm.
It's not for the kids, but it's definitely a fun romp for the adults.
This was one of the movies where you had told me is a popcorn movie.
Oh yeah.
I had never heard that term before I had met you, and it applies to so many movies I've seen since then. Like, it's literally just something if you have nothing to do and you are bored and around a bunch of friends are like, hey, put in Ninja Assassin, let's watch this. That's what this movie is for.
Yeah, just throw some
It's
Orville
just to sit
Redenbacher in the
and watch.
microwave and just
Yes.
just go for it.
There's a handful of movies that are like that are in my collection right now. One of which is Kung Pao. That movie is so stupid, but I love it.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
such a dumb movie, but I freaking love that. I laugh so hard every time Betty shows up. Swinging the chain, swinging the chain. And then, of course, when he's fighting to Can't Touch This. Oh, I love it.
Oh my god.
You need movies like that. Not everything needs to be high art, which is
No.
why I have no problem saying I enjoyed watching this. It was bad. It was really stupid. There were so many things that in my heart of hearts as a martial artist, I was like, why are you doing this to me? But at the same time, watching some of the sword fights in this, so much fun.
Oh, so good. So much
Yes.
control. And it's just, it was beautiful. It's just beautiful. I
Although-
love this.
The one thing I can nitpick, no matter how much I enjoyed it, though, was the
Okay.
shuriken. How in the world are they bending friggin' time and space? Why? Why?
Yeah, this movie came out before this movie came out before that Angelina Jolie movie where they're doing the, bending bullets or whatever.
Wanted, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I
Something
think this came out before that.
This.
So yeah, I don't know
it's
how
definitely-
how they managed that. Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah, I'm like watching the sky just move out of the way of these shuriken. I'm like, no. Physics says no. Why is this happening? Oh my god. But no matter how much nitpicking I do, there is nothing that I can think of that makes me not like the fact that I've seen this movie. I enjoyed every bit of watching this movie, no matter how terrible I may say it is.
I'm glad to hear that. I always love sharing my favorite things with my friends.
It was a wonderful thing for me to do. I'm very happy that I watched this movie.
Yay!
Oh man. See,
Oh gosh.
action films are probably the only movies that can do this though, because if you have a drama that just has stupid things happening, you're like, okay, I disavow this movie. I don't want anything to do with it. But at the very least, with action films, you can hate everything about it, but because there's something going on, whether it feels like action or not, because there's something going on, you still kind of want to see what's next.
Yeah, and you don't expect there to be a plot. That's why I love the Expendables so much. They're stupid. We'll probably never do a review on them because they're already a parody of themselves. But that's why I love them so much, because they're just so fucking dumb.
Here's my problem when it comes to that, and I agree. Reviewing them would be just a stupid thing to do. But the reason that I think it would be a stupid thing to do is because there only needed to be one of those movies. Only needed to be one. Because the scene where Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sylvester Stallone are in the same room, that is every 80s movie of every 80s action movie in history. That was them. That was it. You didn't need anything else after that. Why did they make 3 of those?
I don't know. One of my favorite scenes in the third movie is Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger are, fighting in the airport with Chuck Norris, and Arnold runs out of ammo and he goes, "I'll be back." And Bruce Willis looks at him and goes, "You've been back enough. I'll do it." And he runs off. And that made me laugh so hard.
It's exactly what you're saying. It's a parody of itself. It knows what it is.
Yes.
That is wonderful. Yes. There are very few movies that you can watch and feel that way. So yes, there's no need to say anything about it, because anyone with a functioning brainstem will be like, "Oh, okay, it's making fun of itself. Cool." Yeah. I like it when movies do that. I really do. And in all honesty, this movie kind of borders on that. Like, it knows it's over the top.
And I think that's why the CGI blood is so bad and it's so obvious that it's CGI. I mean, they could have gone with ketchup. They could have gone with literally anything. You can see the edges of the blood bleeding, like where they photoshopped it, and the Photoshop isn't all that great. Like, you can just tell. I mean, it's bad. You couldn't turn this into a college assignment for a class. You could not. The teacher would, give you a C- and ask to see you with a note to see me after class. I mean, it's just.
Oh man!
I don't know.
Let's go back to the opening scene. Like, the entire time during that opening scene, I couldn't stop looking at this. Like, okay, why? Because the ridiculous amount of blood going on in there, I was like, okay, what am I, getting set up for? Let's say this. As far as design of a scene goes, they fucking nailed it. Absolutely nailed it for that first scene. Because it's supposed to make you say, all right, what the hell am I about to see? You see somebody raising out of the freaking shadows. Literally coming out of the shadows. That's interesting. I was like, okay, so this is what's happening now. All right, I think I'm going to have to, stay here and see what's going on. And people get cut up and slashed up and all kinds of crazy mess happening to them. I was like, okay, so we're doing this now. All right. But it was set up so well. I loved how well it was set up.
It's not even a big shadow that he's coming up out of. It's like he's literally in a pocket dimension and then comes out of the floor. It makes no sense, but it looks so cool.
It is quote unquote ninja magic going on here. The only place where ninja magic makes less sense is in the friggin' Shinobi games for the Genesis era.
I thought you were going to say Ninja Gaiden. Oh,
now, Ninja Gaiden, ninja magic actually kind of makes sense because it's usually based around something a ninja would use anyway. But Shinobi, cranked that mess up to 11. Holy crap. Shinobi was the Spinal Tap of ninja magic. That's what... That's another movie I haven't seen in a long time. This is Spinal Tap.
We are not reviewing that.
I wasn't saying we should. I'm saying it's something I haven't watched in a long time. Don't worry, we're not doing that one.
Oh, no.
Why don't you just make 10 louder? But these go to 11. And thus, a nerdy legend was born.
Oh, they actually had an album. I cannot get over that. All right.
That whole thing was just so much fun.
It really is. But I think we're done here.
Yeah, we definitely are done. We are just having way too much fun now. But these are the reasons why I like doing these kinds of reviews, because they are fun. You know, and when we get the chance to do another one, we're probably going to do the same thing. So yeah, let's
Yeah.
just get settle in, people. We're gonna get sillier.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. If people want to talk to us, where can they do them?
Well, there's a number of places where you can find the ridiculousness that is the Little Old People Podcast. We have a link tree at www.linktr.ee/Little Old People Podcast, which has links to all of our social media and all of the places you can find this podcast. We are also searchable on Google Podcasts and Google Play Music. We have a sounder, but I'm not going to list the whole thing out. It's on the link tree.
We've also added a Stitcher, so you can actually go and rate us if you'd like. Please give us 5 stars.
Be a good thing. And if you don't want to give us 5 stars, at least tell us why. You know, we're like, oh, you guys suck for this reason, so we can improve because we want to make stuff that you want to hear. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/littleoppodcast. You can find us on Twitter as well at littleoppodcast. And if you want to send us an email to tell us how great or terrible we are, you can email us at littleoldpeoplepodcast@gmail.com.
All right. Well, I've been Chibi Mythos. He's been the little black dude, and we'll see you later.
Take care, everybody.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.